How quitting weed and finding your purpose can improve your mental health and finances. When you're high, you're disconnected from yourself. You're altered. This is because you're not at peace within yourself and your life. It's a desire to escape something. The only way to find your purpose is to be stable emotionally. And that only is done by doing the work and facing your issues. This is not something new, it's something we all fundamentally understand. But it's a lot easier said than done. Weed obviously costs you a lot of money, and it distracts you from needing to find your purpose in life, as being high is really just a disconnected state of awareness. Being sober and clear-headed helps one to pinpoint their issues to finally be resolved. When you're stable emotionally, finding your purpose and making capital from it is more of a natural side effect to being sober. With more money available to you and not some addiction. But how does one remain sober when they have tried and failed so many times before? Well, it's a lot easier to remain sober if you get to the root cause of an issue. It's not only easier, but it's actually effortless. Because let's face it, when you try and quit something and you don't really resolve your system's need for that addiction, for whatever reason your system has believed that it needs this thing in its life or your life in order to function and get through a day. So when you address the root cause, there's no longer this need for this addiction because you've resolved whatever insecurity or issue that was going on in your life to where marijuana is no longer an option. It's no longer needed for your survival. So how do you know if you're able to stay sober long term? Well, it's actually the absence of thought. When you are not thinking about something, it's far easier to not relapse. But when a lot of people quit marijuana, one of the things that they end up trying to do is consciously go about it. They may avoid going down a certain street near a dispensary. They may stop hanging out with certain individuals that they know already smoke. They may get rid of all the weed paraphernalia within their home, so there's no more reminders on the wall. They might give up some of the hobbies that they've had for many years because it reminds them of weed. And they may even go as far to changing up just their overall approach to life. They might write out a list of reasons of why they should remain sober. Yet even after all of that effort, oftentimes people relapse. And all those reasons that they came up with to why they wanted to get off of marijuana and remain sober, all of a sudden, down the line, it doesn't seem like it was that impactful. It's not something to keep motivating them to stay sober. And if anything, they've started to debunk the fact that they needed to be sober at all. Maybe they just needed to take a break from marijuana to reconnect to themselves and become stable. But let's face it, there's a lot of stable people in this world that don't even turn to alcohol. They don't need pornography. They don't use other stimulants or things like marijuana to function in their day. And if anything, you might find them doing things that most people might find difficult, such as going to the gym, working out, socializing with others. So really this addiction is not resolved because there's a subconscious desire to continue to have this issue. And how do you know if you didn't get to the root cause of this addiction? Well, you may have dropped these things in your life. You may have dealt with different areas that you thought might be contributing to you relapsing. But even after you've eliminated all of those things, you find yourself in the same position, smoking again. So what that means is that the things that you spent all that time and energy and focus on weren't the issue at all. So when I say being sober is the absence of thought, it's really just that simple. And I'll use this little quick exercise with you. When is the last time that you have thought of your childhood room? What was it like to be in your room on a sunny day? Where exactly was your bed in the room? Did you have any toys? What were some of the objects, colors, and things that you may have had in that environment? Is there a smell? Is there, a certain feeling that comes up in your system when you think of your childhood room? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it anxiety inducing? So chances are, before I had you do that little quick exercise, you weren't even thinking about your childhood room for the last year. It's probably something that you very rarely think about. So it is easy, natural, and effortless for you to not think of that childhood room. And so it takes no effort from you to go about your day without thinking of that. Well, when you are truly sober, that's kind of the same principle, is that your absence of thought is what helps you stay sober. It is when you actively are thinking of something that it recreates all these mental images. There may be noises, feelings, or thoughts that are associated to those feelings and memories. So when you quit marijuana consciously and you actively try to avoid it, more often than not, you're going to relapse because you're thinking of the problem still. Because you didn't address the root cause, the problem is still going to be active in your mind. You're going to be hyper aware to avoiding said issue.